I know you and KAMARU Usman have a beef, but I'm like, usually the peers are there to back you up.
KAMARU Usman is not my peer, man. He's my, I'm the champion now. And I think it just like hurt his ego so bad. For me, I thought Leon's biggest weakness is his mental strength. I mean, besides that, the stupidest takedown attempt in history of the UFC. I was like, is he serious right now?
There's people in the sport of mixed martial arts who've done atrocious things, but you done nothing. Why is everybody hating on you?
I was in London before. The crowd was just booing me anytime I said any word. Some like older lady, she's like, you're so nice. I don't know why I was booing you at the arena. And I was like, why were you booing me at the arena? She's like, I don't know, everybody else was doing it.
Oh, it's 15-time world champion, Demetrious Johnson. You're listening to the MightyCast.
What's going on, guys? This episode of the MightyCast is sponsored by PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks is a daily fantasy sports game where you can play directly from your phone. It's very simple. All you gotta do is go to your app store, download PrizePicks. When you do that, use my promo code MightyCast. Cool promotion going on right now. All you gotta do is play $5 in your lineup, where it's mixed martial arts, NHL, NBA, you name it, they got it. You're gonna win $50. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, they have UFC 315 right around the corner as Belal Muhammad is taking on Jack Della. Now, I love doing PrizePicks for the main card because it gets me excited. It gets me at the edge of my seat. I had a good time playing last time at UFC 314. So close to getting that 10x payout. But then old man Volk comes out there, puts on a classical performance, retains his title. But I had a good time doing it. So get your picks in at the right place, which is PrizePicks. Shout out to PrizePicks for a sponsored episode of the MightyCast. Now, let us get back to Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad, my man, welcome back to the MightyCast. First off, how you been?
I've been good, bro. Been grinding. Well, the last time you saw me, I got that injury and I was out for like 6 weeks, which was like one of the hardest things ever because I'm a guy that like trains nonstop, so I couldn't do nothing for 6 weeks, and I had to take like an IV every morning, and I had like a line running through my arm. It was the worst, but it made me appreciate and made me miss the sport so much. So now like that I'm in camp, it's like a rejuvenation where I feel like hyped up. It feels like it's like a fresh camp and everything.
Well, let's start off first. What the hell happened? Like, you're getting ready to fight, and all of a sudden you got pulled out of the fight because you got an injury. And I don't know the full extent of the injury. I didn't do too much research. I wanted to hear it from you. So what exactly happened?
So I had a broken toe for a while, and I was just like, you just put it off for the next fight. It's like, it was like a middle toe. It was nothing. So I was like, next fight, I'll fix it. And because I went to the doctor already to see it, and they said, yeah, 4 weeks off or something like that. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll just brush through it. And then for this fight, I was in camp. I was probably like 4 or 5 weeks in and maybe like 6 weeks away from fight day. And then I had like a little cut on my toe, and the toe got infected. And then I'm thinking it's just like staph. And my sister works at a pharmacy, so I just got like oral antibiotics from her. And I was like, all right, I'll take a day off of training. And like, I took the antibiotics and my toe was just throbbing. And I was like, what the heck is going on? So I messaged her and I'm like, how long does it take for this antibiotics to kick in? And she's like, usually it should be kicking in within the first 2 days. So I was like, all right, I'll give it another day. Then the next day came and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't walk. My whole foot was like just getting swollen. So then I messaged one of my buddies who's a doctor, and he's like, oh, send me a picture. It was like on a Sunday. And I sent him the picture, and he's like, bro, like, you have lines coming up your foot. You need to go to emergency room right away. And then luckily he had a foot doctor that he knew. So then we all got on a thread, and he's like, I'll go into the office right now. Go to the office, meet me there. So then I got into the office, and he's like, we got to do our MRI right away. And I'm like, MRI? It's just a broken toe. And he's like, we have to see if it's like lit up. If it's lit up, then you're screwed. And I'm like, what do you mean screwed? He's like, yeah, it means the infection's in the bone. So if the infection goes into the bone, that's where you talk about amputation. That's where stuff has to go. And it's climbing up your foot. So we just got to hope it doesn't climb up. It's not all the way up there. So we got the MRI. He came into the room and he's just like, bro, it's not good. It's lit up. We got to go into surgery right away. So then I'm like, you're kidding me. I'm like, so I called the UFC doctor and Dr. Davidson, and I'm telling him like, what are my options? And then right away when I told him it, he was like, well, all right, you're out. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, there has to be something. You got to do something. He's like, bro, it's done. He's like, I'm going to call the UFC. It's off. And I was like, what else? So I'm like screaming. I'm just like, you get upset, especially because you've been in camp, you invested a lot in it. And then for me, it was my first title defense, main event, Vegas. It was an epic day. It would have been an epic day. And then, yeah, man, it was just heart shattering. So we had to have surgery. Then I had to have a PICC line running through my arm, where I had antibiotics for 6 weeks. Every morning I had to wake up, take an IV, couldn't sweat, wasn't allowed to do anything else. But basically sit on the couch and dwell on my freaking sadness.
So what exactly type of break was it on your foot? Was it like a compound fracture? Was it broken all the way through? Was it a hairline fracture? Because from what I'm hearing, that the toe that was broken, that was also the toe that you got a cut on and got infected, correct?
Yeah, so that since it got infected and the toe was broken, the infection went straight into the bone and it got in there quicker. So it spread a lot faster. If it was just like on the skin, then it would have been easier to like deal with it and or antibiotics would have worked and it wouldn't have spread as fast. But he said since the toe was broken, it went into the toe and it went into the bone right away. Then it was starting to spread. So he had to get in there right away and like he took a piece of the bone of the toe to like know exactly what antibiotics to give me and stuff like that. But yeah, he's like, if you would have waited a couple more days, it would have like grew up the foot. And he said, since you're healthy, luckily, he said most of the people that have bone infections are like diabetics. And a lot of the time that I'm cutting it right away. Like I'm either cutting a toe, cutting a foot, it's coming off. But luckily for you, he's like, we'll give it 4 weeks. Hopefully the antibiotics will kick in, it'll work and we'll see it. But I see it, you being healthy and your body fighting it. So, thank God it was, right? And feeling good now.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, man. Like, jeez, like when I heard that, I was like, how the fuck does his foot, it's always funny when you talk about the injuries that mixed martial artists, they battle. I don't want to say MMA guys, but, well, I'll say MMA because I was going to say football players, NBA guys, they all play injured. But I feel like we're the only sport where we will go into fight not 100%, right? Because once again, this is how they make their money. And you basically are in training camp. It's like, well, I got a broken toe. I'll push it off. I can make it happen. I got to fight for 25 minutes. It's an easy fight, whatever's going on in your mind. But it's the only sport where we will go into competition injured. No other sport would do that. And the fact that you had to get surgery, did they have to put pin in your toe or was it just going there, just removing the bone and be like, okay, stitch you up and call you good?
Yeah, they had to put like a screw, a pin, okay. But then they had to like take a piece off just to see what it was. And like you said, it's like, for myself, I'm like a hard head when it comes to like injuries. You don't want to go to the doctor until it's the last second. Like unless I'm like overly bleeding or I need stitches or something like that, I'm not going to see a doctor. I don't want to see a doctor. Even when I had like eye surgery before and I had a detached retina, I didn't it started off with small, like in the corner, like a shadow. And I was like, nah, it's cool. Then it started getting bigger and I was like, nah, it's cool. Then it got cool. Then I got blind in the eye and I was like, all right, well, let's go to the doctor now. And
fucking blind in the eye.
And I'm so stupid. You're like, I can spar tomorrow. And you're like, I just can push it. But yeah, I think just fighters in general, we're just too tough for our own good.
I wonder why that is. I feel like there has to be something to be said that we only make money when we get paid. I keep saying we like I'm a professional athlete, but I was there at one point. It's crazy that, what makes the athlete or mixed martial artist do that? Like you don't hear boxers. Well, I never talked to a lot of boxers, but what is it about MMA athletes that do that? Right? Like why do they push through a training camp? Why do we push through a training camp injured just to fight? Is it to make money? Right? Like, where does that come from? Like where does that, that culture come from?
I think for MMA fighters in general, right? When you think about how we start, even when we our first 10 fights, we're not getting paid anything. So a lot of it is just for the love of the sport. And when I think about how hard we work, I know I work harder than NBA players. I know I work harder than NFL players that are getting paid 20 times more than me. So I think a lot of it is just for us, right? We crave that feeling in the cage. There's nothing else like it. We crave that feeling, that victory, that we know that I'm better than this one guy. It's one-on-one and I win. So like we want it so bad and we don't want nobody to take that away from us. That's why we're just like, I don't want to see this doctor because he's going to tell me, bro, you have 95 fractures in your body and you shouldn't be fighting right now. Because if anybody tells me that, I'm going to be like, bro, shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about, or I'm going to ignore it. So I think for us, for me, I know it's an addiction where I was like, I need that feeling. I want that feeling. I want to fight. I need a fight. Whether it's like, even if I had somebody tell me, if you won the lottery right now, would you still be fighting? And I would. I just like love it so much to me that it's like, I just like, I'm happiest when I'm in the gym. And then this injury, it made me realize like how much I missed it and how much I loved it too. Because, sometimes you get burnt out. Even for that last fight, maybe it was God's plan for myself where, that was a quick turnaround. Maybe you would have, overtrained or overpushed yourself and then something bad would have happened. So maybe God gave me this break to think about it and realize like, sit down, settle down, take it all in a little bit more, and then know what you're really doing it for, right? It's not about the money for me. It's about the glory of it and the love of the sport in general. And obviously the money comes with it, but I love the sport so much and I missed it so much. And now that I have it again, I don't want to lose it.
Gotcha. How long were you out for? Because I remember, it's always funny, a lot of people, you have the nickname, remember the name, right? And I remember I did a podcast with Drix Duplessis, and I was trying to remember, like, we're going through the long list of the champions in the UFC. And then somebody was, oh, you forgot his name. I was like, well, no, it's not that. He doesn't fight as often, right? Like, you think about it. The last time he fought was against Leon Edwards. And that was, when was that fight? Was that 4 or 5 months ago? That was July. We're about to roll up in July already. We're in May, June, July. So it's 2 months. So you've been out for a year, and already Leon Edwards has already fought. He fought Sean Brady. We'll talk about that fight too. So you're not as active as you look at the champions in the past, right? My black ass fought 3 times in 1 year and had surgery. You look at John Jones, you look at Jose Aldo. The champions were more active back in the day, where today's, era of mixed martial arts, the champions aren't as active. It could be financial reason. You guys, trying to lobby for the right fight and stuff. And so it's something that's interesting. Do you ever feel that it's a struggle for you that obviously you wish you could be more active? Right? But if that injury would never set you back, do you think you would have been able to be, obviously, I'm answering the fucking question myself, but do you think you wouldn't have a hard time being as active?
Oh, no, 100%. I mean, for myself, if I'm healthy, I want to fight. Like, before I had the title, I had years where I fought 4 times, 5 times. And then I had a long layoff because it was like waiting for the title shot. I had to wait a whole year to get the title shot. So that was a hard part for me. And then once I got the title, I'm like, let's do a quick turnaround. It was going to be 4 months. And then I was ready to fight Shavkat. Then we caught the injury. And then it was like 6 weeks of doing absolutely nothing. And then I had to get right back into camp, right back into training. And I was like, all right, when do I feel good? And then Ramadan happened. So I was like, all right, well, May works perfectly. I'm ready for it. I don't want to wait any longer than that. And yeah, if I'm healthy, I'm ready to go again. Obviously, you always want to stay healthy. You always want to keep working. And for myself, it's like, let's get as many as possible. I want to be an active champion. Those are guys that I see, and I want to be that guy where the UFC could count on me and look at me and be like, we got Pereira Jr. right here. Let's just hit him up and let him go.
Pereira Jr. What the fuck? Oh, fuck. Well, it's interesting because since you've been out, Leon Edwards had a fight, and I felt like the first time you fought, well, the last time you fought Leon Edwards, I felt like you took something from that man. I feel like you took his, as one of my coaches say, you took his soul, because it felt like he struggled against Sean Brady, right? Sean Brady was able to, I felt, use the same game plan you did. Obviously, Sean Brady was, grappling a lot more than you did. You were kind of like, ground and pounding, out wrestling him 2-on-1, breaking him down, out wrestling him. But what did you think about how Sean Brady was able to put that performance on Leon Edwards?
Before that fight was made, I thought it was a terrible matchup stylistically for Leon. I think even myself, when I fought Sean Brady, a lot of people, after I beat him, they said, oh, he got checked, he got this, he got that. Yep. He's not as good as we thought he was. And I was like, bro, he's a beast, he's a monster. I just worked so much harder for that fight, and I knew how good he was, and I trained with guys who trained with him, and they said how strong he was. So it just made me push that much more. So when Leon took that fight, I said, Sean has the blueprint. He's going to do exactly what I did to you. And I was like, for me, I thought Leon's biggest weakness is his mental strength. And I knew that I was going to be able to break him. And guys like that, when you're on that long winning streak and you finally take your first loss after, 5-6 years, I was like, let's see how he bounces back. I didn't think that he would bounce back well. And I said, if Sean gets him down 2 to 3 times, by the 3rd time, I think Leon's going to have flashbacks and he's just going to break in there. And I felt like that's what happened in there. Besides that, the stupidest takedown attempt in history of the UFC in the 3rd round when he shot a takedown, I was like, bro, what are you doing? I was like, is he serious right now? It didn't make no sense at all. And then once it got taken down, I was like, oh, he's giving it up. It's over.
What's going on, guys? This episode of the MightyCast is sponsored by VIIA Hemp. Now, VIIA Hemp is a premium hemp company that has products ranging from flower and also gummies. Make sure you guys check the link in the description below to see if VIIA Hemp is something that you guys want to get into. One of the products I love truly about VIIA Hemp is their flow state. It gives you that flow, that focus when I'm ready to bang out so much MightyCast and even the instant reaction and even when we do the Mighty Recap. And the cool thing about VIIA Hemp is that it doesn't just have THC products, it also has products that has CBG, CBD, and wide ranges of everything. And we also got the Cloud9. If you want to have a good time and get an elevated experience, whatever it is you're doing, where you want to go see a movie, you're at a family function, and you're just trying to kick back and relax and make sure you enjoy yourself, look no further, check out the Cloud9. And ladies and gentlemen, this month, 420, make sure you stock up on the holiday. Do not go into the holiday empty-handed. So make sure you guys check out buyhemp.com/mighty. That's gonna help you save 15%. Load up before the holiday, boys. You know your boy is gonna be doing his own loading up. Shout out to VIIA Hemp for sponsoring episode of the MightyCast. Now let us get back to our guest. Oh God, you cracked me up because I thought the same fucking thing when I was watching. I was like, what the fuck did I just see? Sometimes like when I just love watching MMA just because for me it's all about what does an athlete think, right? Like I'm excited for your matchup against Jack Della. Jack Della. We'll talk about it a little bit, but I just love watching to see what does the athlete think about. I love listening to the corner man as well. Like that's something like I never really cared about, but now that I do a lot more analyzing on the YouTube channel, like I like to sit there and think about who's in tune with their corner, who is picking up what the corner's putting down. Is a corner calm, relaxed? Hey, we've been here before. Or is it a fucking shitstorm where it's like, you got to get your head out of there, Leon. Stop doubting yourself. Like they've done that before and then he's gone out there and knocked out KAMARU Usman. But then it's like, you see some guys it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's one of the things. But when you just said that, I remember that shot. He shot after 3 rounds. I'm like, you're going to shoot. You're going to shoot now. And it's very interesting I wonder what was going through his head when he did that shot. And the fact that you made a comment about it just fucking, sorry chat, sorry viewers. That's why I started fucking laughing.
No, but like you said, I always love watching corners to see how they're going to react. What is their thoughts? How are they going to adjust? And for him, he didn't even have that coach inside the cage. So it told me that.
Yep, I saw that.
After that fight, they had a talk or whatever, and he told him, I don't want you in the cage anymore. But that's the fight he honestly needed him more than anything. He needed a hype man. He just looked down. And when you get taken down, especially in the 2nd round, I thought Sean Brady was very smart in walking up to him right away and taking him down without giving him any chance. Because the 1st round, I thought Leon was doing well, didn't get pushed to the fence, was moving well, and then he didn't get swept until the end of the 1st round. And then the 2nd round, Sean right away took him down, held him down the whole round. So if I'm looking at Leon 3rd round, I'm like, bro, do not let your back hit the floor again. And then right away, he shoots a takedown, and I was like, all right, he's gonna be breaking. He's gonna be folding. And then by the time the 4th round came and Sean had that half guard, it was one of those where I thought that, how you had those fighters where they'll give up their back and they're like, you'll know that they're giving up without giving up. I felt like Leon gave up without like showing it. because for myself, watching Sean Brady, I knew that that's his move. His move is the guillotine on top of there. He has a strong guillotine, and he does it from half guard from the top position. And I'm looking at Leon like he didn't have enough urgency to try to explode out of there. He just waited there. He got it, and he's like, all right, I'm tapping.
Well, like I said, I felt like after you fought him, you took something from him. You know what I mean? I felt it's very rare you see that happen. I mean, you kind of see it happen in mixed martial arts where they rise to the top, they get a big knockout, then he comes back and defends the belt against Kamaru Usman, then he beats Colby Covington, and then he comes up against you, and then you just outworked him, outclassed him, and just, basically took something from him, and then you want to see how they bounce back, and then he fights Sean Brady, where at the time, Sean Brady, his grappling so good, so good, and I don't know how that fight was going to go, but then you saw how Sean Brady was able to finish him. I was like, you know what? I wonder what Belal thought about this fight, because I felt like you showed everybody the blueprint. That's something that Colby Covington, which he thinks he's God gifts to mixed martial arts, you were able to do something to Leon Edwards, and Sean Brady basically copied what you did and just ended up submitting him. So I was curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, and I mean, for myself too, also, if I'm looking at Leon, it's like after a loss or even after a win, I'm always looking at what I got to do better, what I got to fix. I think for them, they made so many excuses after that fight with me. Oh, it was a time change. It was my back was hurting. It was like full of excuses instead of like, I got to get better here. I got to get better with the takedown. I got to get better at not giving them my back. I got to get better at cutting the corner off and not getting pushed backwards, because I'm not good going backwards. And I don't think they made any adjustments at all. I think that they thought those excuses were right. And you're thinking, like, all right, I'll get back on my winning streak. I just had a 12-fight winning streak. I'm going to go out here, finish this guy, and then people will realize that Belal just got lucky with me. But no, everybody's watching you, right? When you're the champion, he was the champion for 2-3 years. Like, I'm sure Brady was watching him, paying attention to his weaknesses, looking at him, and then he's seen what I did, and he's like, oh, that's the path to victory. I always tell guys, take the simplest path. You don't have to take the hardest road to win these fights. If it's easy, I'm going to go that way. Why would I want to go through the ups and downs and the wars or making it just a fun fight to have blood everywhere when I could be like, all right, I'll take you down and dominate you. That's easy.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw something. I'm gonna throw you a curveball. Okay, there's gonna be some different things coming at you. Okay, do you think mixed martial arts is in a recession?
How so?
I don't know. Like, are you managed by Ali?
Yeah.
Who's your manager?
Ali.
You're managed by Ali. So Ali, he posted a tweet a couple weeks ago stating that mixed martial arts is in a recession. I know Michael, he actually sent it to me. Michael, you could bring up the actual tweet or recite the tweet that he said that you sent me. But he basically said mixed martial arts is in a recession. And I sat there and I started thinking, I was like, man, is mixed martial arts in a recession? And I don't think it is. I think there's not as many places for athletes to go to make like a 6-figure paycheck. Right, you have the UFC, you have one championship, and then PFL. If PFL ever gets their their shit together. Someone's not even know if PFL is having a fight. You have the GFL. Who even knows if they're ever going to fucking get their shit together as well? But he said that, and that made me think, I'm not a professional athlete anymore, right? I'm on the other side of the sport. I'm still involved with the sport by covering it and doing, the podcast and the YouTube, breaking out stuff. But I wanted to ask somebody who's a champion, who's on top of their game right now, do you think mixed martial arts is in a recession right now?
When you put it that way, and when I think about it, I mean, it's hard, right? Because for myself, I'm seeing it from a different angle because I'm the champion now. And I know I'm always going to get a fight. But when I have a gym and I have smaller guys there, younger guys that are still, had that dream of making it to the UFC. And before you would be like, well, you have Bellator, you have PFL, you have, World Series of Fighting, Strikeforce. There was so many options. And now, like you said, there's not a lot, and especially not a lot of good ones at all. You were hoping that GFL would do something and it would take off. Like, it had so much hype. And then once it caved in, you're like, that's why the UFC runs the way it runs. That's why the UFC does what it does, because it's hard to run a promotion. It's hard to pay every single person $1 million or a crazy amount of money and for everybody to get a piece of the pie, right? So it just makes them be like, and that's why we do it, right? This is why we do it. This is why we're the best. And it just sucks for, like, obviously the younger guys, the next generation. But I think if I'm the UFC, it opens the door for them to do much more, right? Like even with the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, he could keep that all year round and even have a Wednesday Night Contender Series fight, right? He could do so many of these shows, and we know they're going to be great. And you can put them in the Apex, and you know you're going to have the venue, you have everything here. Fans are going to tune in. People love to watch fights. And I think that for fighters, they would go there because they'll know that with the UFC, I know at least I'm going to get paid. With the UFC, I know that they're going to take care of me. They're not going to sit there, wait the fight day, and then cancel the whole event. There's always going to be something like that with all these smaller shows and events, and you're never going to know if it's going to happen, especially with, like you said, PFL. They have so many great fighters, you look at some of these matchups, and you're like, bro, how come they haven't announced this? I didn't even know there was a card today. And you're like, what's going on here? It's wild how bad they are with promoting their fighters.
Well, it's just interesting because, Aaron Pico, they just let him go. Producer Pitbull got the opportunity to fight in the UFC. He was with PFL as well. And it's just fascinating. Like when I read that, he was like, oh, mixed martial arts is recession. And even, I kind of equate a recession in every aspect of life. Everybody's like, oh, we're about to go on a recession in the world, right? And they say recession is equated by how much GDP growth that we have every single year. But for me, I look at it as a recession. I was like, I'm doing fine. I can still afford, my necessities essentially. Granted, I'm on a different, scale of life, as you can say, a different tax bracket now. But even when I was working 9 to 5, making $276 an hour, and we were in a recession back in like 2008, I didn't truly feel that was a recession because nothing bothered me as long as I had food on the table, 4 walls, and no holes in my roof. And so I try to equate it to the, not UFC, but mixed martial arts. When he said a recession, I feel like there still wasn't, for me, I was always a smaller guy. I was 135. So there was nowhere for me to fight unless I went to Japan for Shuto. But now when you look at it, there are still a lot of organizations to fight for. You have CFFC, you have LFA, you have Anthony Pettis' Fighting Championship, APFC. You have so many different, PFL, you have one championship. You have so many different things, but not all of them are going to pay the 6-figure check. It's obviously the goal to get to that place where you get there. It's just like NFL. You have Arena Football League. You have Canada Football League. So I was kind of curious, like, what was your thought on that? Michael sent it to me, and I was like, I never thought about it being a recession. And he said, make sure all the fighters hang on to your contract. Or I can't remember the rest of the fucking tweet. So I was kind of curious what you thought about it, especially since you're ran by the same, that's your manager who's saying that. Like, I don't know if he said, hey, Belal, make sure you stay healthy. There's a recession going on right now. Make sure you count your chickens, okay?
But it's probably hard for him, right? Especially for managers. When you got a guy like him and he's I'm going to send Pico to the UFC. And if I'm his other fighters, I'm like, bro, why aren't you sending me to the UFC? If I'm a champion for PFL or Bellator and I haven't fought in a year, like we trained with a couple guys from over there, and they're like, bro, I don't know when my next fight is going to be or what's going to happen with them. And, they're just sitting in limbo. And I see, they signed Pitbull, they signed Aaron Pico. Let me go. I'd rather go to the UFC where I know they have so many shows, they have so much promotion. Even fans in general, right? They know the UFC. They don't know these other companies. Like, if you tell them you fight for this company, you're not UFC? They're like, no, there's other shows out here. We get paid, right? It's wild.
It's just crazy how, once again, when he said a recession, it makes you take a step back, and we're like, damn, is mixed martial arts truly in a recession, or is it just a lot of fighters not being as active? There's places for them to go, but they don't get the opportunity to be as active as if you were in the UFC because they have so many more shows.
Yeah, and there's so many fighters now, right? I can't imagine how much people are on the roster. And then if I'm the UFC, I got to get all these guys. You got to guarantee them 3 fights a year, right? And then if you're PFL, they don't have as many shows, and then you still got to guarantee these guys a certain amount of fights. But the champions over there now are like, I'd rather get in the tournament. And then when you get in the tournament, it's like you have to fight 3 times in a year. And a lot of these guys will get those little injuries or whatever. And it's hard for that. But at least they got to guarantee 3 fights. So I'd rather be in the tournament instead of being the champion where I'm sitting out a full year not getting any type of fights.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Here, why is everybody hating on you, Belal? I mean, I think you're a nice guy. You seem friendly. I mean, you do say a lot of shit like, man, that guy fucking sucks. That guy sucks. I'm like, oh, man, I truly never said somebody sucks. But fuck, man, everybody's hating on you. Like, where's all this hate coming from on you? Like, I go on Twitter and I see someone like, I look at the fan engagement at the press conference, like, all right, we got a question for Belal Muhammad. He goes, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. And it's like, why is everybody hating on you? Well, you won't do no bad. There's people in the sport of mixed martial arts who've done horrendous, atrocious things, but you done nothing. Why you get all this hate?
It's wild, right? I'll tell DC about it. I'm like, bro, he's like, man, why do they hate you? I was like, bro, I had no idea. And he told me to himself, he was like, bro, you never know when this switch is gonna flip, right? He's like, I was getting booed so hard when I beat Anderson Silva, and I was this, and all of a sudden, randomly, I became the loved one. And he's like, just stay the course. And for myself, it doesn't affect me in those ways. At first, I would like read the comments, and I would like go back and forth, and I would get angry and emotional about it. But now I think it's more like a mob mentality now, because even I always tell this story. I was in London before, and I had like a fan meet and greet, and then the crowd was just booing me anytime I said any word. And then I went back to the hotel, and some like older lady, probably like 60, 70 years old, was talking to me. And, I'm just having a conversation with her. And she's like, oh, you're a fighter? Yeah. She's like, you're so nice. I don't know why I was booing you at the arena. And I was like, why were you booing me at the arena? She said, I don't know, everybody else was doing it. And for myself, I just tell people like, they're only booing because everybody else is booing, man. They don't really hate me. But anytime somebody meets me in public or in person, they're just like, it's all love. Like regardless of if they're booing or not, I know they're not gonna boo or talk trash to me to my face or standing in front of me. And even if they do, it's probably like a nerd or something like that. But 90% of it, I get made fun of at the gym all the time, right? My boys, my teams, we have like one of those locker room mentality gyms. We're all rolling at each other. I'm like, I've heard worse. I've gotten worse from my boys. I'm not worried about what you have to say to me.
Gotcha. Well, I sit back and I'm looking, I'm like, usually I can understand, the fan base, they're going to love you, they're going to hate you one day, but then to get it from your peers, right? I know you and KAMARU Usman have a beef. He keeps talking about like this, the pound for pound podcast where you guys start throwing fists and kicks. I'm waiting for that episode to drop, but I'm like, usually you have the support from your peers. And I'm not saying all the peers, hate you, but usually the peers are there to back you up, right? And it's like some of the peers hate you. It's maybe because you and KAMARU Usman have a beat, and maybe you tell people they suck or that person sucks, but I feel like you only tell people they suck if they truly suck or if they said something about you.
No, KAMARU Usman is not my peer, man. He's my
well, you guys are fucking co-workers. You work for the same company, all right? You both get same.
I don't think he even works for the company anymore. He hasn't fought in like 3 years. He's not up there. The guy, I think his ego and his head is so big that he thinks he's still at the top. And that's what I brought up to him in the podcast. I was like, bro, you're not at the top anymore. You're not. I'm the champion now. And I think it just like hurt his ego so bad. And I was just watching him, and he's ready to tear up. And I was just like, bro, are you okay? Like, what's going on over there? I think these guys, he still talks like he's there. I'm like, win a fight. You haven't fought. You're posting all these videos. Soon I come back. Soon this. Soon that. Stop with the quotes, right? Like, him and Michael Chandler are teammates, right? When are we ever going to see these guys at the top? See you at the top. It's never happening. They have all the quotes in the world, but they're not good enough. KAMARU is one of those guys that he's not good enough. He's not going to make it anymore. And he's just trying to stay in the limelight by using my name, by talking to the champion. You're going to get a response from me, right? Because I'm a guy that's always going to clap back no matter who's talking. And even when I said before, like, make the welterweight great again, like as a champion myself, I'm like, I want to fight who's the next best guy. I'm ready to fight all these guys. When KAMARU was champion, he was like, let me rematch Masvidal. Let me fight Kobe twice. And when you're looking at the resume of the guys he's fought, those guys didn't earn it. Like, I've earned it, and how the road I had to take. So now that all these younger next generations are on the come up, I'm going to give those guys a shot next, right? KAMARU could probably post that podcast and, get in the mix, but I think it'll hurt his ego too much because he looks so stupid in there.
I'm sorry. Oh God. Well, I think the biggest thing, two things. One, I think the reason why, if that's true, why KAMARU Usman wanted to fight Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington, is because as a champion, as you know, you get pay-per-view points, right? And I'll never forget when John Jones fought DC. DC was like, I want to fight John Jones again. Not for the rivalry and how good John Jones was, but I remember he said like they sold like 875,000 pay-per-views. And he goes, I make good money when I fight John Jones. So I want to fight his black ass again and again and again. And when he fight, somebody else, when he fought somebody who's, not the same level as John Jones, that pay-per-view check that comes in the mail is like, damn, that's it. That's all I get. And so that's why I think KAMARU Usman was trying to angle to those guys, because there's a storyline there. Whereas if he was to fight a new upcoming, champion, the pay-per-view sales wouldn't be the best. That's my only argument for him to be able to fight those guys who are super popular, right? Everybody loves Jorge Masvidal. Everybody loves Colby Covington. Chaos. He's always out there with the hookers he pays to be able to hang out with them. So I think that's why he was angling those fights with those guys instead of, fighting the next number one contender. If I have to stick up for KAMARU Usman.
No, I mean, and I get it. I understand the business aspect of it. And for myself, I'm like, let me fight KAMARU, right? There would be a build up. There would be a back and forth. And those are the fights I want, right? But he gotta win a fight. Like, he gotta fight. Like, all this talking, all this thing, like, his chest up, he's walking around with his shirt off all the time in his podcast, and I'm the pound for pound king. Show us you're the pound for pound king. Win a fight. You haven't won a fight in 3 years. Everybody's calling you out. You have Buckley saying his name a million times. Respond to these guys. Don't stop with the attitude of, these guys want to keep saying my name. When I'm ready to go, I'll go. That's like, bro, are you a fighter or are you a podcaster? Like, you gave it up. You already told everybody you're the podcaster now. So
yeah, I'm done.
KAMARU is just, he's still on the edge. He's still living on the edge, and I think that he just can't let it go.
Yeah, well, it's hard now. Like, as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm like, man, we make money. I'm like, I'm not a we anymore. I'm not a fighter anymore. I'm not on your level. You know what I mean? So I've separated myself from that title of, a mixed martial artist. I'm always gonna be a martial artist, but as for a professional mixed martial artist, I'm not that athlete anymore. So, and when I sit here talk, it's kind of like, as you get older, you're like, man, he still has one foot inside the door, and he's trying to figure out when is the best opportunity for him to fight.
You're only getting older, and it's only taken away from you, and your knees are already out of cartilage, right? You're going bone on bone already. It's like, bro, you're gonna have nothing left now. Like, we gotta hurry up, Usman. Like, you're walking to the bathroom, you're walking down the stairs, your cartilage just keeps going and going and going. So, like, I would fight these guys as soon as possible.
I love it. Everybody be taking that man's knees. His knees are. Everybody's taking his knees. I fucking love it. Well, while we're talking about matchups, let's talk about your matchup with Jack Della. I didn't know anything about Jack Della. I seen him fight once when he fought Gilbert Burns, but as this fight's on the horizon, I was like, okay, let me look at this guy. He's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I think his biggest strength is that he does not give up. He does not accept the position. He's very slow and methodical. What I mean by slow, he's not he's not a explosive unless he turns it up, but he's very methodical about how he goes about the fight. He knows where he wants to go, but I'm excited about this because you're going to push the pace. You're going to be all over Jack from your previous fights. Like, you put it in drive and you just go. So talk to me about this matchup of you versus Jack Della.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, right? He's another guy with a double-digit winning streak, and he'll be the third guy after I get this victory that I beaten with the double-digit winning streak. And when I look at the guy and they told me Shavkat was injured and they brought up Jack, I was like, oh, okay, let's go. I've been watching him, I've been paying attention to him, and one of the keys that you said, right? He doesn't have a give-up button. When I fought Leon, I knew that he was breakable, and I was like, oh, mentally he's gonna break. With Jack, even if he's down, he's still fighting. He's still going until the final bell. And I know that he's going to be in there. But the difference is he hasn't fought anybody like me. He hasn't fought anybody that pushes the pace like me, that can strike with you, that can grapple with you, that can wrestle with you, and move like I move. And I think that's where he's going to drown. That's where he's coming from, like, you know, I've said it before, I said, you're going from the kiddie pool to the deep end of the ocean right now. And for him, when he's in there with me and he, you know, he tries to get comfortable, there's not going to be any time, any space for him to get comfortable, to use his hands, to use his boxing, to try to get his combos off. And my goal is to find that breaking button. My goal is to show them that I can do whatever I want to do with any of these welterweights in the division.
Now, what is, when you say he's jumping into the kiddie pool, he's in the kiddie pool, now he's jumping into the deep end of the pool. Do you not think he's had enough fights at a high level? Because I felt like his fight with Gilbert Burns was a good fight, right? It was going back and forth. He faced some adversity against Gilbert Burns, but he was able to push through. With me, you both agree that he does not give up. That's where he was able to land that knee when he came inside the void. Do you think, I feel sometimes when you have those, it's either two ways you can do it. You can, have those fights, and then in your words, you said jump to the deep end of the pool, or do you swim out to the end of the pool and have that fight? Sometimes I think it's good to jump to that deep in the pool, because if you do end up swimming and staying out there, then you have a fresh beginning instead of swimming out there. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense what you're saying, but I think when I put it this way, as you said, did I think he did enough or fought enough? I don't. He hasn't had a 5-round main event yet. He hasn't been in one of those I think wars where you've had to dig deep. Like he's had those fights where he's dug, but not as deep as I've dug. And when I look at the path that I've had to fight, and I had to get on this long winning streak, and I had to fight, I had to fight the striker, I had to fight the grappler, I had to fight the jiu-jitsu ace, I had to fight the karate specialist. He hasn't gone through that, right? I think Gilbert is probably his toughest opponent that he's had to fight. And he went from, fighting Basil Hafiz to fighting Gilbert Burns, and then the title shot, without having to go with, all right, I got to fight this guy with a different style, a specialist here, this guy with a specialist here, this guy with a specialist here. And, now it's a 5-round fight. When you train for a 5-round fight, it's different. There's a different pace you have to fight. There's a different training methods you have to do. And I think that's where it's going to pay dividends with my experience.
Do you just said something, and I want to ask you, I want you to elaborate more on that. When you talk about the journey to the title, right? You talked about his journey to the title, and then you talk about your journey to the title. Obviously, it's two different paths. Like, do you think there should be, this is a hard thing to say, but do you think there should be a concrete detail way to get to a title shot? Meaning like, oh man, I want to be a doctor. Okay, I got to do 4 years. I got to do 4 years at college, and then I got to do, post-college. Then I got to take a residency. I got to do all these things to get my doctor's license, where you're never going to see somebody who goes, oh, I did 4 years of college, I'm a fucking brain surgeon. Where I feel, for you, your path to the title was a lot harder than a lot of athletes in the welterweight division. And for you look at it as like, okay, nobody's gonna be as good as I am because I had to dig deeper than all the other athletes. Do you think there should be a concrete way to get into the title shot? Because that's why I tell people, I'm like, it all depends on, here's a good example. Let me think of a good example. Uriah Faber. At one point in time, Uriah Faber was never, there was one more time. He's beat Dominic Cruz, right? He's beat Dominic Cruz, I believe, once. They were 1-1. But Dominic Cruz was able to become a champion in the UFC. He never had that path, a clear path to become a champion. Let me think of another athlete who's never been a champion, but he's beat somebody who became a champion. Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson has beat Charles Oliveira, but Cub Swanson has never been a champion because his path to get to the belt was a lot harder than Charles Oliveira. Do you think there's something to be said about somebody's pathway to the championship?
Yeah, right. That's the way the sport is. It's so unpredictable, right? There's guys will come in, and if they catch a good run, even Masvidal, right? He was in the UFC for so long, never got a shot. Then all of a sudden, bam, knockout of Ben Askren. Then you get Darren Till. Then you get Nate Diaz, and then bam, you're fighting for the belt twice.
Yep.
And it took him that long to get there, but he did have a longer road. And then you got guys where I had to fight 10-fight winning streak, and then I finally get it. And then like a guy like Jack, where all right, we're 4-5-0 in the UFC, didn't have the toughest test, but I'm getting my shot now. And then especially in the sport, you never want to underestimate anybody because of their past, because all it takes is one punch and you get knocked out and you can still lose. So it really doesn't matter. I would definitely, would I have wanted the easy road, the faster road to the top? Probably I wanted that road, but I don't think I would be as good as I am now. I don't think I would be skill-wise what I have gained from, all right, I got to train a full camp for Damian Maia, who's, I can't go to the ground with him. I had to play, wrestling, defensive wrestling. And then my next fight, I'm fighting Wonder Boy. I got to do nothing but try to wrestle this guy, strike this guy. Like, I gained so much from all these camps that I've sharpened new tools. I've gotten this, I got in that, I got in this. Mentally, physically, I've grown so much. So now being the champion at this point in my career, I feel like there's nothing I haven't seen already. There's nothing that he's going to put out there that I haven't gone through. And it just gives me that much more confidence. But even for myself too, it's like, you still got to find that motivation to where my goal was always to find the gold. My goal was always, gold was the gold. Gold was the gold. Then we got the gold. So now I got to find a new goal. And so that's why I always tell myself, now I'm chasing GSP. I want to be considered the best welterweight, right? I've said it from the beginning that I was going to be the champion. Nobody said it. Nobody believed in me. They said, you can't be the champion. So now I'm the champion. Now I said I'm going to be the best welterweight to do it. And they're still telling me I can't do it. So it's just making me want to prove these guys more that they're wrong and I'm right, that I can do it, that I can achieve it. And the first thing that Khabib told me when I won the belt was, now you work harder. When I got this Jack fight, he's tougher than Leon. Just know he's tougher than Leon. You got to work harder for this camp. So I'm keeping that in my head. I'm keeping that mentally in my head, especially getting it from, who I think is the best to ever do it. And I just got to keep telling myself that we got to work harder than yesterday, because now I got the bullseye on my back. They're all watching me. They're all trying to break me down. So I got to evolve and keep growing and keep getting better and to be a different version.
Yeah. Well, it's just fascinating when you say that, like, there's two things two things I want to like branch off. That is, one, when you look at the, athlete's path to a world title shot, right? You have Gene Silva, who's 5-0 in the UFC, 5 finishes, and he's, lobbying for a world title shot. And then you have a guy like Kai Asukura, who comes in the flyweight division and immediately gets a title shot. And it's, it's just, there's no concrete path. It's almost like the UFC gets to dictate who gets a title shot or who doesn't, right? And I think there's a lot of people who it rubs them the wrong way, because it's like, is this a sport or is this a reality TV? Is this a sport reality TV show that's viral where it's like, oh, you get a title shot? Nope, you don't. You're on a 20 fight win streak, no title shot. So it's always, it's a very controversial, it's not controversial, but it's a very interesting way if my kids were to watch the sport and follow it like I did, they're like, well, this guy is undefeated and he has 5 finishes. Why does he get a title shot over this guy? So and when you said that he doesn't dig deeper, his way to the path to the title wasn't like yours. I was curious, like, do you feel there should be a legit way to get a title shot in the UFC?
But like you said, right, when we're talking about companies that tried that, right? PFL tries the brackets. They tried the tournament mode. True. And then you're saying, all right, well, it doesn't work that way. Sometimes, like, we've seen guys test that thing out and it doesn't work. And then also, too, it's like, does it depend on where I'm from? If, we're trying to hit the Japanese market, so Kai Asakura, you come in, you're in. We're trying to hit the Brazil market. That market's so big over there. You come in, you're in. You're from, Dagestan. We already had a couple of those champions. We don't need you right now, so we'll put you on the side. Yeah, it's like,
I don't need this steak. We'll put it in the back when it's ready.
Yeah, right.
Now, do you think that's a problem? Because do you think that kind of waters down that it's an actual professional sport, or do you think it's more of like a business? Like, is mixed martial arts becoming more of a business, or is it more of a sport? Right? Like, and I'm gonna keep it transparent. I'm part of a WhatsApp group where it has. Are you in that WhatsApp group of all the fighters in there? We're talking about the way mixed martial arts is ran.
No, I didn't get invited into that group, man. Why did nobody hit my line?
You're probably not fucking cool enough. Anywho, well, so it's basically like, somebody said mixed martial arts isn't a sport. And I sat there, and they're basically going off all these things that there's no clear-cut way to get a world title shot. And the reason why is because the company or the league can dictate when you earn that title shot, right? And when you look at a sport is that you compete against somebody, and there's a clear-cut winner of who is better, right? In mixed martial arts, if you and Leon, you and Jack Della fight, there's no finish. We need 3 people to dictate who won that fight. Whereas if you were to run a race and I beat you in a foot race, or I beat you in a swim, or if I land more baskets than you, or shoot more baskets and I land those shots, or if I, beat you at a game of football, I'm truly better than you. So since mixed martial arts isn't in that realm, unless you finish me, you choke me out, you knock me out, that's going to happen. Then that dictates it's a sport. But do you think mixed martial arts is a sport, given the criteria that we just laid out, where one, you don't get to, the UFC dictates who gets the opportunity to fight for the belt. Not how many wins you got, not how many finishes you got. They get to dictate it.
No, I think for sure it's a business. And I tell even like the next younger generation, it's more than just training, right? We all train, we all do jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, this and that, but it's the extra stuff where it's going to get you that shot. Like, what's your spiel? What's going to get the fans to want to interact with you more? Because there's a fight every weekend. There's a new card every other week. Yep. What's going to keep you in the fans' eyes? What's going to keep the fans wanting to see more of you and wanting the UFC to want to start pushing you and promoting you? Unless you have a big country behind you with a flag that says people are going to be, that whole crowd is for you. That whole crowd is supporting you. They love the fight game. If you don't have that, then you better have a personality, or, social media game where it's killing you, or a Twitch game where it's killing you now. Like, there's so many people now, I don't like to do interviews. I don't like social media. I don't like posting anything. I'm like, yep. If you don't like posting anything, if you don't like social media, if you don't like doing interviews, then the UFC has no use for you. Like, there's a million guys out here that know how to fight. There's a million guys out here that will bleed and, punch and kick and go to war. But they want the guys that are going to do that and then also sell themselves, and also have that, wanting the people to buy their merchandise, wanting the people that want to come and watch you fight or support you.
So it's interesting you say that, like, right there, there's millions of fighters out there who are really good at fighting, but if they don't want to do all the extracurricular activities to promote themselves, to promote the company, then it's almost like Muhammad MAKHACHEV, right? Undefeated in the UFC. Obviously, there's other stuff that, the reason why they cut him, but he's like one of the best flyweights in the world, but he's not on the roster, right? So when people are like, oh, it's nothing but the UFC, UFC's the best, does UFC truly have the best fighters when they won't sign the best fighters because they won't do X, Y, and Z, right? You said it's more of a business, it's not of a sport. So that's my rebuttal to that, where it's like, does UFC have the best athletes then?
That's one of the hard cases, right? Especially because with what they say about MAKHACHEV, well, he was hard to deal with. He was a hard guy to talk to. And he, like you said, he has so much talent. And for me, anytime I've met him, he's been such a nice kid. But you don't know what goes on behind the scenes and stuff like that. So, and like you said, they get to choose. It's their choice of who they like, who they don't like, who they're going to push, who they're not going to push. So for me, I think the go-to that answer that everybody always gives is, right, winning solves everything. In his case, it didn't, because he's still undefeated, he's still this, and they still didn't care to re-sign him. So now you're like, well, do I have to fight a certain way? Do I have to go out there and bleed and only be a striker and only kickbox with these guys? So it makes guys also want to fight a certain way and fight differently and adjust their styles. But that's the difficult part with everything. In his case, it was definitely hard, right? Because you don't know what the side business aspect of it is, and all the other things. And that's the thing where you're like, bro, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't want to have him there.
Yeah. Do you think it's okay for an organization to be able to dictate that? Where it's like, nope, like let's say you're the best. Like, what if they're like, you know what, Belal? you keep kicking everybody's ass, we're going to have to strip you and you're not selling any pay-per-views. We're going to have to let you go. Do you think it's okay? I mean, obviously they're not going to do that, but do you think it's okay for them to have the power to be able to do that? But since we're answering that question already, since it's a business, then they will likely have the opportunity. They have the power to do that, because if you work at Microsoft or you're working at a company and you're showing up to work every single day, but you're not performing, you're not producing, what the company is expecting of you, I'm pretty sure they can, lay you off. They'll probably have to give you like a severance or something, but I wonder if they can do that in the UFC. They did. They're like, Demetrious Johnson, I think it's time to let your black ass go. Here you go. I was like, peace, I'm out. Do you think it's okay that they have that power to do that?
No, right? Especially if I'm feeding my family with that, it's the way I make my living, right? So I definitely don't want to give anybody have that power over me to weigh how I live my life. So for myself, it's why it makes me want to go that much harder. It makes me want to do the extra stuff. It makes me want to show them that I am that guy. Because also, even if that does happen to you, you could also go on, like I said, one of these other shows and show them like, yo, I did this X, Y, and Z for this company. And even myself too, where I was talking earlier, we're trying to get different sponsorships. And with the sponsorships that I do have, I want to show them that, yo, I'm going to promote your products to the T. I'm going to show you that I care about your products as much as you care about your product. So if you're a UFC fighter, you should be caring about the UFC and promoting it, the brand, as much as, they do. And if you do that, if you show that, then it'll be like, all right, you're a company man. We like you. We're gonna give you this. We're gonna keep you on the roster. We're gonna do all this for you, but you also still have to win.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is all basically coming to me right now when you hear about the recession in mixed martial arts, and you hear about I hear fighters saying mixed martial arts isn't a sport. Then I hear it's a reality TV show with, and you guys are the worst winners. And I'm just like, you know what? Let me ask a champion who's on top of his game right now, what's his thoughts on that? And it's just funny when I sit back and I'm like, well, technically you're a self-contractor. You have a 1099. And if you don't perform like you should, they could just cut you. But like, I wouldn't cancel our contract with you after you met all your obligation of your fights. And then it's like, okay, well, if I can dictate who's going to get a title shot. And then the reason why another person who was an ex-fighter, he was like, well, it's not really a sport because there's no merit to earn a title shot. Like, you can just get a title shot off of being cool, essentially, in mixed martial arts. And it also goes back to his road was a lot harder than your road, or his road was easier, etc. So it's, it's a lot to digest, but that's what's on my mind right now. What's the landscape, what's going on in mixed martial arts. Yeah.
And then obviously what just happened now? Sean O'Malley gets the rematch right away after losing to Merab. And it's like, well, he didn't earn it. Well, if he's the moneymaker for the UFC, they're going to do whatever they can do to give him that title shot right away. Even though the first fight wasn't it wasn't even close. You're looking at like, why did he get this title shot? Oh, well, he has this many followers. He pushes the brand. He pushes the name. He sells himself. And when I'm looking at the rest of that division, none of these guys are really screaming for it. None of these guys, especially because Merab took the long road to get there too, and he beat a lot of these guys already. So if I'm looking at Merab and I'm like, well, I got to have a rematch with somebody, I'm going to give it to the guy, all right, O'Malley. He's the biggest name. He's the biggest moneymaker. Let's just do that one again.
Yeah, and I part of me is like, damn it, I would have loved to see him get one more fight. Sean, just fight somebody, right? Because if that star power is still there, right? Let's play devil's advocate. Let's say that star power is still there. No matter who he fights, people should tune in, right? If he's gonna fight, an ant, people should tune in to see Sugar Sean O'Malley fight the ant. And let's say he beats the ant, it magnifies it even more. It's okay, Sean O'Malley's legit. He's ready to go. Not that he's not legit, but you know what I mean? It just builds about you more. And he goes, man, I can't wait to get back in there and fight Merab, right? Or let's say he fights that ant and the ant beats him. And next thing you know, everybody's like, oh man, Sean O'Malley's not back yet. And then that ant, now you have a new star who beat Sean O'Malley. And then that ant gets the opportunity to fight Merab. Merab beats him. And then Sean O'Malley can fight someone else, fight two more, win those two fights. Then he fights Merab. Like, I feel if he fights Merab and he loses to Merab, then it's like, it's just like, damn, it's done. There's nothing for him to come back for. But if he beats Merab, it's like, well, I don't know. It's a hard catch-22 because I agree with you. I always have, like, even when I fought Adriano and I lost to him the first time, I went and fought Rodtang in a mixed rules fight, and then they're like, hey, Yuya Wakamatsu just lost. We have nobody else for him to fight. You want to fight Adriano again? I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'll run it with him again. I ended up beating him, and then we ran it back again. I beat him the third time. So it's going to be kind of interesting when you have somebody who is a star, like Sean O'Malley, turns around immediately off a loss. When the fight, I agree with you, it wasn't even close. I feel like Merab went 5-0 in that fight. He's fighting him again, so it's like, interesting. Like, should he got another fight under his belt, or was there literally nobody else in the fucking division that could have fought Merab? I don't know. I don't have the whole list in front of me of that division. So
yeah, I mean, if I'm like O'Malley, obviously,
he's happy as fuck.
He has that punch. He has that one punch power, right? All I got to do is land one. For Merab, I got to be perfect for 25 minutes. For O'Malley, he just got to land one punch. One on the button and it's over. And even in the 5th round, he was close to with those body shots that hurt Merab. And then also you get a feel for him, right? Now I know how he wrestles. Now I know how he does this. If I'm UFC, I'm looking at it like, all right, well, who would O'Malley fight? If it's not Merab, then maybe it'll be Sandhagen. Maybe it'll be Umar. And those are very tough fights regardless. Those guys at 135 are so close. They're all so talented that anybody could be anybody on any given day. So they're probably like, you know what? O'Malley's our biggest star. Let's try it again. And if you lose twice to Merab, well, all right, well, it's fine. Then we can start playing him with other guys. But like we have a shot here for him to, if he goes out there and knocks out Merab, that gives a trilogy fight that's going to be even bigger than this one. There's just so much more money that could come from it.
There you go. That's true. It's always weird because do you ever feel that when you do this, because you have your game show every Thursday night, you know, where you're doing your thing. Do you feel when you say certain things, obviously what you say about KAMARU Usman, you guys have beef or whatever. Do you feel that some athletes come after you when you pick against them?
Oh, bro, I get it all the time. Even with Ilia Topuria, somebody just asked me, they were like, beforehand, when we first started our beef, they just said that, like, what do you think about Ilia and Islam? And I said, man, I think Islam's too big for him. He's too strong for him, and it'll be a bad night for him. And, you know, be careful with the trash talk with you know, those guys from that team, because they don't do the trash talk. They see you in public, they'll fight you in public. And then Ilia, and then Ilia started like, oh, who's this guy? Belal sucks. He's this, and that. And I was like, bro, all I said was, you know, giving my opinion on what I think about the matchup. It's not like I was talking trash about you. I think you're a great featherweight. I was just like, bro, I think Islam's a terrible matchup for him. And then I just turned it to a beef. And then I've also had guys where I circle maybe my circles of who I think's gonna win the fight. And then I'll have a coach message me, or I have the guy message me like, oh, you picked wrong. And I was like, I'm not making any bets, bro. That's my thought. Like, I'm glad you won. Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I talked to Volk and I picked Diego Lopez to beat Alex Volkanovski. And I tell everybody now, I was like, when I make these picks, I make my best educated decision of what I think is going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball in front of me. This is what I see in the fight game. And I picked Diego Lopez to win. And, you know, Alex Volkanovski goes out there, has a beautiful performance. And we talked about prior to him fighting, he was like, there's no ill will or bad blood whatsoever, because you make an educated guess. I know deep down in your heart, you don't think I want you to get smashed, right? Like if Volk won, Volk wins. If Diego wins, Diego wins. It does nothing for me monetarily. Like, I don't make more money if somebody wins or loses. That makes sense, right? So when I hear athletes get upset about like, oh, you picked me to lose or you picked him to win, it's like, yeah, that was my educated guess. Would you rather me lie? Like, when it comes to Izzy, I'm always gonna pick Izzy to win because that's my boy. I'm biggest fanboy of Izzy. It's like, you know, Michael, he loves the fucking Chicago Bulls. He's gonna do whatever he wants to, you know, say Chicago Bulls are the greatest team ever. So I always wonder, like, do you get that you get that blowback? And don't worry about Ilia. He said I'm Mickey Mouse, so it's all good. It happens.
Bro, no, like, even with you and me, right? When you picked Leon, like,
yeah.
I was like, no,
I thought he was gonna work you.
Come on.
I thought he was gonna piece you up in the feet.
I was like, come on, Mickey Mouse, let's go, bro. What's wrong?
Oh,
with you?
Jesus.
Nah, but like, for me, I don't take it personally. Like, even when I came at you, it was just out of love, and it was just like joking wise. So I don't take none of it personally, but yeah, there is so many guys that will take it personally, and they'll look at you in a different way, and I'm just like, bro, man, it's not that serious to me. Like I'm not thinking about it in that type of manner or in that type of way at all. I'm glad you won. Congratulations. But like, I've had it so many times where I've had like a Russian heavyweight come up to me once, Blagoyev, and he's like, you circled me last time. And I was like, I didn't even know you look at my circles, bro. You don't even follow me on Instagram. Why are you paying attention? But it's just always funny for me.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. I was, it's a hard thing to do, but at the same time, I tell people, I was like, guys, I want everybody to win. I want everybody when they wake up Sunday morning, they look at their bank account. I want all the zeros next to their bank account, and I want everybody to win and have a good night. So I'm glad you get more of the beat than I do, because everybody's coming after you, man. They're like, you got the fans coming at you, and I tell you this, Belal, I think the fans are gonna appreciate you when they don't have you anymore. Meaning, like, when you retire from the sport, they're like, man, when Belal fight, he would always push the pace. He would take people down. He would make it look easy. He would break them mentally. Because that's kind of like what I got when I left the sport. When I was in the sport, Demetrious Johnson, he's boring. I threw a motherfucker up and armbarred him. And they still said I was boring. I would finish people with arm bars. I would knock people out. And they still say I'm fucking boring. So, Belal, you hang in there. You stay the path like Khabib said. And they're going to start loving you. You just watch, my friend. They're going to turn around. They're going to become the hero. You watch.
I'm hoping for it. I'm waiting for it. But for myself, right, winning solves everything, no matter what. When I get that hate and when I get that thing, I just tell myself, man, I better not lose, man, because they're going to go on Twitter. They're going to kill me. They're going to eat me alive. We cannot lose. We cannot lose. I care more about what Twitter's going to say more than myself losing.
Oh, I fucking love it. Michael, what you got for my man Belal Muhammad? This man's in the middle of training camp. I want to take too much of his time.
Yeah, and as you said, represent
Let's go.
Chicago.
Playoff.
DJ wouldn't know the Chicago roots.
I know Chicago roots, man. I fought in Chicago.
I forgot you fought in Chicago yet. Who'd you fight in Chicago? Who'd you fight in Chicago, DJ?
Oh, John Dotson.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I make good money in Chicago. That's where I make good money in Chicago.
Do you watch basketball?
I do not watch basketball.
He knows nothing
sports?
about basketball.
The reason why, let me tell you why I don't watch basketball. I just told Michael this. It's the fouls. It's the fucking fouls. It's like, dude, you're fucking 6'8". Get up. It's the fouls, man. And then when they foul them and they say I didn't foul them, and you look at the replay, it's like, look, you dumb motherfucker, you just fouled me. Stop grabbing me. Like, there's nothing that pisses me off more when somebody cheats and you catch them on camera and they say they didn't cheat. It's like, go ahead, Michael. What's your question? Don't get me fucking started, man. I go all day about basketball.
Name 5 current NBA players.
Name 5? Oh, man. You got LeBron James. You have Stephen Curry. You have Kevin Durant. You also have, what's LeBron James' son's name? Bronny James? That's what they call him, Bronny James.
Technically LeBron James Jr., but yeah, Bronny James.
Okay, I'm at 4, motherfucker. Just give me one more. Let me think of another person. Joker. Get off
Try
me.
to say his name.
It's Jokic.
Oh shit!
Okay,
Jokic. Wow, good job. Yeah, that's exactly. There we go.
Oh, in your face. Okay, what you got for my man Belal?
Yeah. So Belal, I would like your take on what's playing out as an interesting dilemma. Islam Makhachev, he's the lightweight champion, and it seems like he's eyeing that 170 title. But of course, you guys would never fight. And by the way, I know DJ and I agree on this. It's just like Merab and Aljo. It's never worth it, in my opinion, to ruin a friendship over fighting. So Topuria actually just said on Rogan, I think that Belal should fight Islam, by the way, which I thought was kind of interesting. Would you ever consider a move up to 185 to allow Islam a shot at 170, or do you think you're going to just keep that title forever and try to be that 170 GOAT?
No, I mean, I would definitely move up, but I feel like you have to earn it for myself, and I think I would have to win I'd have to defend at least twice before I could even talk about it or think about it, especially with when I look at my resume, I have 5 top 10 wins in the division right now. So if I go out there and beating Jack, and then when you're looking at who's next in line, there is some guys on the horizon that I do want to fight and I want to test myself against. So if I go out there, win that one, maybe one more, then I can say, all right, I earned my shot to go up to 185 and fight up there. And I think for Islam, right, there's guys for him right now to fight at 155, especially besides Ilia, where you're looking at Justin Gaethje. He just had a nice win, and he hasn't fought Islam yet. Paddy Pimblett, I think, just threw his name in the mix. And his star power, if I'm the UFC, you want to push him right away. And then you still have Arman and Oliveira still there. Those obviously would be rematches for him. But there's still fights there. But yeah, I would definitely move up, and I don't think that they would be too big for me at all either.
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about, your guys' relationship between you, Islam, and Islam is that Islam's respecting the fact that, hey, you're a champion right now. When it's my time to come up there and try my hand to win that belt when you're not there anymore, I will do that. It's almost like Aljo Merab. Like Merab was like, dude, this is Aljo's time. When my time comes, I'll get the opportunity to become a champion and be there as much. Aljo went up, and Aljo still supports his boy Merab. It's probably the best bromance in mixed martial arts right now because they got each other's back, right? And I feel like that's very respectful from Islam to be able to like, hey, you know what? Belal's there. When Belal gets 3 or 4 title defenses and he decides to go to 185, then I will go up there. So mad respect to both of you guys for having it, because you see too many athletes who want to fight. I know Kyoji Horiguchi and Alex Pantoja are like, Alex Pantoja said, I'm excited to be able to test myself against Kyoji Horiguchi if Kyoji Horiguchi can get his way up to the title shot. So mad respect.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, they've helped me so much. They've done so much for me. Even like for Khabib and those guys, it's different. And you've trained with them, right? You've been there.
Oh yeah,
and you've seen their brotherhood, right? The relationship. It's not like, oh, we're this or we're that. And there's like a different bond between everybody in that group over there. And like I said, like it's priceless what they've done for me and helped me with. So I would never want to like lose my loyalty to them or do any of that stuff for any type of money. Like, how did you like training over there with them? You had a hard practice?
Dude, it was amazing, man. Like, that's one of the things that we do on the YouTube channel now. It's called The Mighty Journey. We're even thinking about coming out training with you if the time would permit, because you're local. You're not local, but you're in the States. And in my career of mixed martial arts, I never cross-trained. Right? I never did until the very end when I trained with Henry Cejudo. He was the first legit, like, hey, you're on the UFC roster. I'm out of it now, but hey, can we train together? And it was amazing. It was eye-opening to see, like, oh shit, like I'm actually am good, not just when I fight, but outside of the cage too. And then to be able to train with Mikey Misimichi, and then be able to train with Islam, Tiger, Umar Nurmagomedov, Khabib was running it, and just to see where it's like, oh my God, Umar, you are a big fucking dude, like, wow. And then Islam, he's massive, and then to feel that Darce choke, I'm like, oh my God. I was like, man, it's, yeah. And sometimes I think to myself, I was like, man, how good would I have been if I would have cross-trained? Because I would have been able to test more of my curriculum on higher level caliber instead of when I fight people, it's like I get 25 minutes to test this curriculum and that's it. Imagine if I get to go in day and out to test my curriculum and also learn from them. So it was really eye-opening, and I can't wait to be able to train with those guys again.
Yeah. Man, when you put it that way, right? I never even thought about it in that like context of like, I usually use my methods in the cage, but now I'm like, all right, I cross train with this guy, see if it works on him. He's a higher level guy, and it's like, if it works on him, it'll work on any of these other guys. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to do it. But like you said, even myself coming off right when I got off the injury for 6 weeks off, it was like Khabib's team was there. I was like, oh, I got to go train with them in Vegas, and I was like, I'm not in shape for it, but I'm like, whatever I could gain from it, that's what I'm going to go do, because I learned so much from them. I get so much from training them, or even just being in the room with those guys and feeling that energy and having it was Umar and Islam both in champ camps. So it just hyped me up and it made me that much more hungrier.
Yeah, and it just, like I said, it's for me, it's all about testing curriculum and learning, right? Like and I think the hardest thing that even when I told Islam and those guys, like Khabib at the very end of practice, he goes, "Hey DJ, is there anything you want to say?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, man." And I told him, I was like, I feel that we're in a day age of 2025 where everything's about clout and, oh, this guy beat this guy and this guy did this, instead of like, I'm just here and I just want to vibe out and I want to share knowledge and I want to feel like, how would, if me and Islam never got the chance to spar, well, obviously he's way bigger than me, but like, how would Islam fare in my clinch? Like if we were doing MMA sparring, how would my movement, how would I cross the void on Islam? Like that makes me excited to train with so many different people. Like I'm gonna go to Arizona and I'm like, oh man, Sean, I'm in Arizona. Can we move? And I'm not trying to prove that I'm better than you or you're better than me. I don't care if you're better. I hope you're better than me since you're a professional fighter, you're active, but what would happen if I got you in my clinch? How would you move? How good is your balance? Do you have good Muay Thai sweeps? If I shot, like, I want to see, or even with Merab, like, I want to, I moved with Aljo. Aljo, his black ass got on my back with them ashy ass kneecaps, fucking submitted me. I was like, you fucking big fucking, but he was like, and he just told me, he goes, Doug, you're just too fucking small. And I was like, yeah, but let me show you this though. I just love vibing out. Like, I feel like there's a culture that's missed about martial artists where it's like, hey man, I'm gonna train with you and I don't care if you beat me. I'm not gonna run around the whole world and say, hey, I just don't give a fuck. But in today's society, that's what moves the needle. That's what everybody cares about. It's like, oh, and that's what's sad about it. But yeah, that's a big ass rant.
No, you're right. And for myself, I love training with other guys. I love moving around. Even when I was just in Vegas, I trained with Aljo. He said I was like, my head, don't let him get your back. Don't let him get your back. Then I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me see how it feels for him to get on my back. And like, you can't move him. And I was like, bro, but he's one of the coolest dudes too. I'm like, yo, what do you do here? What do you do here? And he's trying to show you. And he's like, honestly, a lot of the stuff that I do is because I just do it weird. I do it differently. It's not going to be this. But I like to hear it. I like to know those different things. Even Khabib, I'll ask him a question about a technique, and he'll be like, brother, just get up. And I was like, what do you mean just get up? Like is there a way? I can't move with you on top of me. Like, you're physically a lot stronger than I am, and I'm not doing nothing. And he's, brother, just try. Just try, and you'll figure it out. And I was like, all right. But it's cool, because like you said, when you're training with a purpose and you're like, let me just try my single leg this round, or let me just try this.
Yep.
It makes you that much better, and it sharpens those extra tools that you have.
Yep, absolutely.
What's your best like Khabib is him moment where you just saw him do something training where you're like, dude, this is why this guy is one of the greatest of all time?
Bro, when he's literally mounting me, and then he was like making a coffee order as he's like on top of me, and I was just like, is he really just doing this right now? And I'm trying to explode out, and he's just like, all right, he just rotates his hip one way, and I'm just like, bro, like, this is, I don't know if to be embarrassed or to just like doubt myself, but man, when he's on top and he's like having a conversation with somebody, it's just so funny, because he's so good. And for myself, it's like, I know that if I can make him work a little bit harder the next time, then I know I'm getting better. That's how I have to look at it. I don't look at it with like, man, I suck, I don't want to go with Khabib again because I feel embarrassed. No, it's like, hey, Khabib, let's do it again tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow, same time. Beat me up again. Just because I want to just keep growing and keep sharpening and keep getting better. And even I know that there's nobody that's going to hold me down like he holds me down. I know there's nobody who's going to freaking beat me up like he's going to beat me up. So it just makes me that much more fearless in the fights.
I love that. Well, Belal, I wish you nothing but the best of luck in your matchup against Jack Della at UFC 315. And this is the opportunity for you to let the fans know how they can support you, where they can follow you. And the floor is yours, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for having me out again. And yeah, to all the fans, follow me on Instagram, BullyB170, Twitter, BullyB170. Just be nice. Like, please. I need a little bit of niceness.
I fucking love you. Asked somebody to be nice, and your fucking name's the bully. How does that? You're not starting off You're not starting off very good. And I wish you nothing but the best. You get past Jack, and hopefully we can get this. This amazing matchup between you versus KAMARU Usman. I think the whole world wants to see it. I want to see it now.
Hey, we want to see that Shavkat. That's the.
I don't know,
that's
man.
The fight that we want to see.
I don't know. I think UFC is not a sport. It's a fucking business, Michael.
It's DJ and KAMARU.
I'm retired. I'm retired. I'm a podcaster now. I am not a fighter. Okay, I'm not a fighter.
Seriously though, do you think pound for pound isn't posting that for like legal reasons? Like, how is this not? Everyone wants to see it, so it would do great numbers. What's the reason for it?
I think they probably rewatched it back and they saw like how bad KAMARU looked and he was like tearing up. And I think that we can't do this, man. It'll make me wait. Is there any sort of like, adjustments we can make with the lighting where we could do this and that? And it's like, I'm telling you, man, like,
see, these two need to fight.
I felt bad afterward.
DJ won't get this reference, but it's like CM Punk, when the backstage footage, the infamous footage. We need to get this footage. We need to get this footage and see if how you're describing it is how it went down. Come on, pound for pound, drop the footage, release the footage.
We're going to get that goddamn footage. We're going to get that goddamn footage. I want to see it.
You and Henry are boys, right? Henry should be able to get it out of there.
Yeah.
We're good. I think we might be working together actually in Vegas, an international fight week. So I had to ask him about that. He was like, Demetrious, I just think Belal and KAMARU, they got something they got to figure out. So let's hope they it's gonna be good when they release it, though, man. Nah, I got another bit of love for KAMARU and Henry Cejudo. So, boys, if you enjoyed this episode of the MightyCast, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, hit the bell to go live, and make sure you guys follow my man, Belal Muhammad, Bully Beat Down on Instagram, social media, as he gets ready to take on Jack Della at UFC 315. I'm your host, Demetrious Johnson. That is our guest, Belal Muhammad, and my right-hand man, Michael Wanzover. We'll see you guys at the next episode of the MightyCast. Boom, boys, we are back again. Welcome back to the Mighty Recap. And this is part of the episode where me and my man, Michael, we recap everything we just went through with our guest. And our guest was Belal Muhammad, the Bully. You know what? He's a nice guy. You see all the shit at, the UFC press conference, the fans talking about him like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the name. And they just sit down. You see all, not his peers, but the other athletes in mixed martial arts shit on him. And I think he's genuinely a nice guy, and maybe he does it to himself when he says everybody sucks, him and his beef with KAMARU Usman. I hope one day they drop that pound for pound podcast. I don't know why they don't. I'd love to get KAMARU Usman on the MightyCast to hear his side of the story of what happened in that interview. But I enjoy Belal Muhammad, and I'm excited for this fight at UFC 315. He takes on Jack Della because I think Jack Della does something different. He doesn't give up, where his previous opponents, when he gets him in a certain position, they tend to accept the position, accept that Belal Muhammad is going to dominate the position, where Jack Della doesn't accept that. And that's why I think makes him dangerous in his matchup against Belal Muhammad.
No, I agree too. Belal's like one of my favorite fighters to have on the show and just one of the nicest fighters. But for whatever reason, you just see all these memes of him, of how boring he is and all this shit. But it's mixed martial arts. Like if you are winning, it's you need to want to know the guys who bore me. The guys who can't defend a takedown, the guys who can't stop Belal Muhammad, like Leon Edwards, right? Like I want to see him add more to his game. I don't want to see Leon Edwards get, just submit by Sean Brady, right? Mm-hmm. That's what bores me, not the wrestlers who are doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to see somebody who's well-rounded, who can be able to implement a game plan and execute, right? And like I said on the podcast, people were calling me boring when I was finishing people. Like, if you look
I've always told you I was one of those guys. I'm not going to lie. When I was younger,
I'd have kicked your fucking ass, Michael. You know that? Like, think about that.
Every time I'd go to B-dubs for a free pay-per-view, it's like, oh, it's Demetrious Johnson. Like, and I would just leave after eating a bunch of fucking wings all night and my stomach hurting, just being like, man, that was so fucking boring. And
You're probably like this. They're like, oh, hey, the main event's going on. Oh, it's Demetrious Johnson. Oh, I think I'm just going to fucking leave. I'm going to go, I'm full already. But like when you look at that, right? Like people called me boring in mixed martial arts, right? Let's take a look at my title reign. 1 second. Fucking Sherdog's taking forever. Continue to Sherdog. I'm not. Okay.
Sherdog has so many ads these days.
Yeah. So let's look at this. So I become the champion in 2012, right? I fight John Dotson, goes to decision. I fight John Moraga, I finish him with an armbar. I fight Joseph Benavidez, I knock him out. Ali Bogatinov, I don't finish him. Chris Curiasu, Ali Bogatinov was on EPO, so that's why I didn't finish him. Chris Curiasu, I finish him. Kyoji Horiguchi, I finished him. John Dodson, didn't finish him. Henry Cejudo, I finished him. Tim Elliott, don't finish. Wilson Hayes, I finished him. Ray Borg, I finished him. So out of my title reign, I had how many finishes in the title reign? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 11 consecutive title defenses, 7 of them were fucking finishes. Think about that. And they called me boring. I mean, you know, it's just weird in today's society where people are just like, oh, that guy's boring because he keeps on winning. Oh, he's boring. And
yeah, and also I need to remind people too, did you see Sean Brady against Leon Edwards? How good did he look?
He looked
Belal knocked out Sean Brady.
Yeah, I know.
So
and Sean Brady out-grappled, made it look easy against Leon Edwards. And Leon Edwards, at one point in time, when was Leon Edwards the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world? I feel like he was a pound-for-pound best fighter in the world at one point.
No. Leon Edwards definitely wasn't pound-for-pound number one, but he was
on the pound-for-pound list, though,
and
right?
He looked. I mean, I used to think his grappling was pretty good.
Second.
You know, obviously far off his striking, but I think you're right though about what you said. Of Belal took something from Leon, like in that performance. Something was whether it was confidence or something was ripped from him, because Leon fought KAMARU Usman 3 times and defended takedowns extremely well. So I'm not sure what happened, but also just shows how good and underrated Belal's performance was.
Well, I also feel that when it comes to KAMARU Usman versus Sean Brady's, not Sean Brady versus KAMARU Usman, but Sean Brady's grappling and wrestling compared to KAMARU Usman is a lot different, because Sean Brady wrestles to grapple, to where KAMARU Usman is just wrestling. He's not running a single leg and looking to pass guard and angle the hips, and you know what I mean? Like, typically when KAMARU Usman takes people down, well, he doesn't take anybody down anymore. He tends to stand with them. But when he did take them down, it wasn't grappling focused. It was more ground and pound focused. And that's why I think, Sean Brady had a better time finishing Leon Edwards than KAMARU Usman did. So, but I want to see, I'm going to record right now. I want to see KAMARU Usman versus Belal Muhammad. That's the fight I want to see.
Come on, DJ.
This fight reminds me of Betch Carrera versus Ronda Rousey. Reason why is because Ronda Rousey was just beating everybody, and then Betch Carrera was like, she fucking sucks. And then Ronda Rousey was like, I'm gonna beat this bitch's ass. I was like, oh, I bought the pay-per-view. Whenever she said that, sold me. Even though I knew Ronda Rousey was a million times better than Betch Carrera, I was like, just because she said I'm gonna beat this bitch's ass, I bought the pay-per-view.
KAMARU Usman has lost 3 straight fights. Granted, one of them, his last fight was you couldn't have a tougher fight against Khamzat Chimaev on short notice, and he fought him extremely well. So that is his last fight. But then the majority decision versus Leon Edwards, I don't know why it says majority decision. I think it was unanimous versus Leon Edwards, and then the TKO or the KO loss. Obviously, the kick heard around the world against Leon Edwards. So it's tough when you're talking about a guy who has not, his last win was November 2021.
God damn.
The one that I'm sure everyone in our listeners / viewers will want to see is Shavkat, which is the fight that was supposed to happen, but he had some injury that was not going to make him unable to be ready for UFC 315. So that will be, I always like when we can tell a bigger story. We were going to get Shavkat versus Belal, but now it will almost feel like a bigger fight when it does happen, because if Belal is able to beat Jack Della, which is not an easy fight at all, it will make that Shavkat fight bigger. So at least that's a fight I want to see. All respect in the world to KAMARU. Belal said a lot of stuff about KAMARU. He's a guy who was up there pound for pound. Tremendous fighter, taking nothing away from him. But as a fan, it would be hard for me if UFC, Dana White in one of his Instagram lives, we got Belal Muhammad versus KAMARU Usman. Like, it's hard to sell that fight to me beyond the footage of pound for pound.
If that fucking happened, I know 15 seconds later, you're like, see, this is the shit I'm talking about. This is the shit I'm talking about. The MMA guru, these fucking helmets and fucking sausages can't get anything right.
Yeah. But no, I think though with Belal Muhammad, I think you were dead right with what you said. I feel like when he's gone, people will appreciate him a lot more. It's easy now to make fun of him and talk about the pay-per-views not drawing. Well, how about this? When you pull up UFC 315, they're not really giving him help. If you look at the card, they're not giving him, DJ, you know better than anyone. You would prefer to be on a Conor McGregor card than being the main event and then having a co-main event that maybe is a little bit weaker. With all respect to Valentina Shevchenko, like you look at the card, they're not really giving him some huge help in the pay-per-view buy. So is that a Belal Muhammad thing or is that a UFC thing? So I think he gets some unfair hate.
Well, that's the thing that I love about like when they talk about, that athlete didn't want pay-per-view points. He didn't believe in his ability to sell pay-per-views. That's the words that Dana might use about me. And it's funny. I believe in myself. I believe in my technique. I believe in my skill set. I believe the product I put out there is probably one of the best in the time when I was fighting. But when you're going to be, you just named it. They're not helping him. It's not like a fucking megastar card where everybody and their moms, jumping down to watch it because, that fight between Jack Della versus Belal Muhammad, I'm excited about that fight. I want to watch it, right? Valentina Shevchenko, I'm not too familiar with who the female she's fighting. I think Shevchenko, she's on a different level. And then other than that, I don't even know who's else on the card. I haven't really looked at it. I'm looking forward to like what's going to happen in International Fight Week. I'm ready for them to start announcing that card. But no, I agree with you. I think they should, you want to, for a champion, you want to be stacked up with other bigger champions so you can sell a lot more pay-per-views. And that's just my opinion. And I've been on both sides of the fence of when I've headlined a pay-per-view by myself. Amazing performance, on my end. And I've been on the side where it was me and John Jones. John Jones fought OSP, and I fought Henry Cejudo, and I think we barely did over 265,000. That was back in 2016. So I think now that the UFC is lobbying at the time of filming this, where's the next streaming platform going to be? I'm hoping it's going to be Netflix, just because Netflix is a better platform. It's easier to stream. It's easier to get to. There's no bullshit where it's like, I got to log into Disney Plus or ESPN Plus. Oh, now I got to buy the pay-per-view. Obviously, there's that tricky, thing. Does UFC do away with the pay-per-views and just go, we're going to, Netflix. Netflix is going to pay us $1.5 billion a year, a 5-year deal, which will equal out to, some god outrageous number. Everything's going to be free and we're going to run it, which I think will be a better idea because Netflix is all about bringing more subscribers, the monthly subscribers, to pay that percentage. And and Netflix now has, the higher tier, which is the paid, no ads, you pay $25. Or if you want ads on Netflix, you pay $6.99, which Netflix loves that because they get to make ad money. So I hope it goes to Netflix. We'll see what happens.
Ian, I want to give a shout to Digital Titan Productions out of Chicago. They're the ones who filmed that for us. It's the reason why it looks so crisp in 4K. It was like you were right there in Chicago, just in his I think it's his basement.
Yeah.
Thanks to them. Shout out to Digital Titan Productions. Shout out to Chicago. Always good to have a fellow Chicago in there. And I hate to say it when we're trying to be unbiased, but I think we're both going to be rooting for him. UC 315. Maybe we'll have Jack Della on eventually. Hopefully he doesn't get mad at us for saying that. But
that's okay if he does. That's okay. I'll tell him straight up. Like I told Belal, I thought Leon Edwards was gonna kick your ass on the feet. And he goes, come on, man. Come on. And that's the thing that I love about doing this is that I love to be so honest and transparent when, if I read it, like I never forget when Uriah Faber grappled Bibiano. I thought Bibiano was gonna outwork Uriah Faber. I thought he was going to destroy him. And next thing you know, I saw Uriah Faber at CGI 1, and I was like, I'm shocked you beat Bibiano. He goes, really? I was like, yes. It's like Bibiano's a fucking 5-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. And he goes, yeah, man, I'm actually pretty good Jiu-Jitsu. And then he was able to use the rule sets into his favor. Like if Bibiano and Uriah Faber were to grapple in a gi, Bibiano's going to destroy him. But, it wasn't the gi, it was no gi, et cetera, et cetera. So, but yeah, I hate when fighters, I can't say I hate, it makes me not want to cover the sport and, not talk about fighters, but pick different sides of fighters because a lot of them get, a little upset, but I always will love to have a conversation with every fighter that I've ever picked against or picked pick to win and just give my honest opinion. And, you know, like I said, when I do my next jiu-jitsu champion, I want you guys all bet on my opponents to choke me out. I'm not going to, you know, bat an eye.
No, and I think I can understand it when it's active fighters, and I think that's the hard thing because you're almost too close. But anyone getting offended at a retired Demetrious Johnson YouTuber
I'm a
making any
YouTuber
predictions,
now.
I just don't get it. I can't get it. Not naming any names, but it we've seen it, and it's like, dude, no, you're not saying you hope they're gonna lose. You're just using your educated guess and your knowledge of your MMA career to make the prediction. I personally don't get it, but if you are an active fighter, I could somewhat get it there, but
yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Well, boys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Mighty Cast. I always enjoy it. And like Michael said, we always enjoy talking to Belal because he is a great guy. He's very colorful. He knows his shit. He's well-spoken. So if you guys enjoyed this episode of the Mighty Cast, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, hit the bell to go live. And please leave a comment down in the section below. Let us know, do we want to see KAMARU Usman versus, Belal Muhammad if he gets past Jack Della? Or do you want to see Shavkat versus Belal Muhammad? And are we going to see Islam go up to 170 if, Jack Della wins? Or is Islam going to stay 155 and they're going to match up with Ilia Topuria? Who knows? Let us know in the comment section. Get involved, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube. We look at the comment section. I'm your host, Demetrious Johnson. That is my right-hand man, Micah Wandover. We will see you guys at the next episode of the Mighty Cast.